Hi, Paul Hefty here with 493 Coaching Principles and Ethics. This is a lecture on legal duties of coaches and athletics personnel. First off, there are 14 legal duties: planning, supervision, evaluation, injury, safe playing environment, protective equipment, teaching instruction, matching and equating, evaluating conditioning, warnings, insurance disclosure, medical assistance, emergency response, safe transportation, and selecting coaches. Number one, planning, a duty to plan. You have a yearly plan and keep it and follow it. Prevent or reduce injury and loss by developing responsive strategies in these 6 areas. This is what your coaching portfolio is all about. It's planning and preparing and being proactive. At this time, I'd like you to pause the video and then do your first drafts for these meeting agendas. Number 1 would be a staff meeting, number 2 a team meeting, and number 3 a parent meeting. So pause and just do a bullet point outline for each of those first draft. All right, now that we've got that, what we want to do is review and add. With every one of these meetings and every situation throughout the portfolio, you should, number 1, address safety, number 2, legal duties, and then thirdly, your leadership philosophy as a head coach. Remember, the key here is your standard of practice should meet your standard of care. That is your legal duty. Let's look at the other 13. So again, planning. Number 2 then is supervising, a duty to supervise. You need to be physically present, provide competent instruction, structure practices that are appropriate, and prevent foreseeable injuries. Number 3, evaluating injury. You have a duty to assess an athlete's readiness for practice and competition. This includes ways for you to require to assess their health and physical readiness, some medical screening, and written permission by a physician. Number 4, safe playing environment. You have a duty to maintain a safe playing conditions. Coaches are considered trained professionals who passes a higher level of knowledge on to those athletes. Again, athletes should not be subjected to intense or prolonged conditioning, and you must have a plan for monitoring and responding to dangerous weather conditions. An EAP, Emergency Action Plan. Number 5, protective equipment, a duty to provide proper equipment. Coaches need to ensure that their athletes are properly equipped and have knowledge of that equipment. You must have certification, and that must be checked on a regular basis. And then lastly, athletes must wear protective equipment any and at all times. Number 6, technique instruction, a duty to instruct properly. Again, we need instruction that accounts for a logical sequence of fundamentals, safe and sound, and also appropriate and safe techniques, including warming up, about unsafe technique, and prohibited practices, what not to do. Number 7, matching and equating. A duty to match your athletes during practice. Athletes and practices should be matched with consideration for maturity, skill, age, size, and speed. Simple. Number 8, evaluating conditioning, a duty to condition properly. You must account for the progression of cardiovascular and musculoskeletal conditioning. Also considering must be given to weather and readiness factors. Number 9, warnings. You have a duty to warn of the unsafe practices in your sport. And also, sport-specific warnings should be included on the parent meetings to those specific sports. 10, insurance disclosures. You have a duty to ensure athletes are covered by insurance. Make sure they are cleared through the athletic office and all documentation is recorded properly. Number 11, medical assistance. You have a duty to provide emergency care. You are expected to be able to administer approved, prioritized standard first aid procedures and a necessary emergency response. Number 12 are emergency responses. A duty to develop, follow an emergency care plan, an ECP. Plans must be in place to manage uninjured team members while emergency care is being administered. You must have access to a stocked first aid kit, access to a telephone, and have a rapid emergency action plan for emergency medical personnel. Number 13, safe transportation, a duty to provide proper transportation. This means this should be approved by the school district. You must ensure that all athletes are on the bus before it departs, not leaving anyone behind. And coaches and parent drivers must have district volunteer driver forms to drive athletes. Again, proper paperwork and clearances. 14, selecting of coaches. Duty to select and train and supervise coaches. Athletic administrators will be expected to ensure coaches are capable of providing safe conditions and activities as outlined in the preceding list of those previous 13 duties. So, reflect now and review from that original first draft you did. What would you add? Write those down right now. I'm going to pause and put in some additional thoughts from those 14 duties. At this time, you've already started to set up the process of your legal duties and your staff meetings and management of that. Make sure, number one, safety first, legal duties two, and then your own philosophy as a head coach. Thanks.